Hello everybody, welcome to Network Empires training with Sue Bell and the final word. This is Fran Horvath and we have Network Empires CEO Sue Bell with us, and we are on our second video on the Network Empires holistic approach to marketing, and this topic we're going to talk about is software and Network Empires mad, I guess, the
Mad
mad
scientist?
science approach. Yeah, why have we developed this software? What's the purpose and what do I do with it? Sue, welcome. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, friend. These are some wonderful videos that we're going through. I think well needed. Um, so
We'll
let's
certainly clarify things for a lot of the members.
definitely. So in video number one, we talked about the whole ring system and what it does and what it is and why it's there, and we talked about the training and how each of the training courses apply to the different levels and the different rings. So today I thought we'd get into the software and the best uses or the intended uses. I mean, people are inventive. They always surprise me. I write a piece of software and they find 1,000 different ways to use it, but but the intention behind what we had in mind when we wrote the software.
Sometimes those members and their brilliant ideas turn into fabulous courses and trainings, but that's another story.
Definitely. Oh, definitely. Um, Sometimes the invented ideas are far better than the original intentions, um, but let's start today with Paying Finder. So Paying Finder is an application that goes out and it searches Quora for questions pertaining to the keyword that you've typed in. And the original idea behind this was to help you find the pains that your product or service relieves. So it helps you find the questions, the frequently asked questions, sometimes even the should ask questions, or at least the topics at hand about the ideas that surround your product or service. And the idea behind Pain Finder is you don't just do one or two drills about the keywords in question, but you use it back and forth with either Kraken or keywords. And as you're in one of the keyword tools or the market discovery tools and you find ideas, you go and you check what the conversation is in Pain Finder, and oftentimes Pain Finder will bring you obviously the questions have got frequently more than one keyword associated, or it sparks another idea about a different way to express a pain, and so then you go back into either Kraken or keywords and you do another drill based off of that idea, and you sometimes move back and forth between those two applications 2 or 3 times to actually nail down the topics that you want and then the exact way that you want to express those ideas, the primary keywords for each one of your silos or the themes in your website. So that was the initial idea behind Pain Finder, and it's something that I find absolutely invaluable. The less I know about the market, the more valuable I find Pain Finder, but even when I know about the market, it's still a very cool tool. Like keywords, you would think that after 10 years in this business, I would know a little something about keywords, but I went, for CERT this year, we were doing market analysis, and so I went into Pain Finder and I did some drills on terms like keyword and keyword tools, and it was really fascinating, the questions that came back in Pain Finder. So in the interim between our initial development of Pain Finder and where we are today, a lot of those questions that come back, they become really good, great topics that you want to actually use on your blog. So along with just digging for the topics that people are talking about, you also have the facility within Pain Finder to be able to say, hey, these are topics that I actually want to blog about. I either want to write content in my website or I want to blog about. And so you can check mark, you can check the different boxes beside each of the different questions that gives you a reminder as to what it was, which questions they are that you want to you either want to reiterate or you want to answer or you want to write about in your blog, and then you can check it off when you've actually created that article and syndicated it. So that's
So
what,
I, I have a question about that point. So when you're actually in the tool and you're checking off, you're not suggesting that people are going to Quora and answering those questions immediately, or does that ever happen? How does that fit in?
So the way that that would fit in is once you've answered the question on your blog, once you've talked about that topic, doesn't have to be a direct swipe of that question for the headline, but sometimes that turns out to be a really great headline. And then once you've answered that, you can certainly go back to that question in Quora. You can click through to it from Painfinder so that you can find it easily. And you can add your response in Quora, which basically summarizes your blog post, and then you can link back to your blog post. So you've basically you've used Quora as a curation platform. And that can drive some really awesome traffic because the people who are following that question are interested in the answers that are being provided.
And definitely establishing you as an authority, so that's a huge benefit.
Absolutely.
So one other thing I noticed in this particular tool that is kind of an ancillary benefit, but very often if you go back and peek at this stuff, I don't have a systemized way of doing it, but when I'll go through and maybe traffic is down or sales are slow or it just occurs to me to go check, there's always a lot of competitive information you can get. People complaining about something in the market, and a lot of times it's directly related to a competitor's product or service.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's some of the beauty about it because you can, as you dig through that information while you're doing your ISDNA, that can actually help you tweak how you want to position yourself in the marketplace. You can look at what people are complaining about from your competitors, and you can either tweak your product or service to provide a solution to that pain, or maybe your product and service already provides a solution to that, and then you want to make sure that you hit that in your marketing copy.
Exactly.
Beautiful. So then the next application that we would talk about would be keywords, which of course we've just released a new version of it, Killer Keywords. So you've got the basic, pro, and agency versions, and between these three versions you can use keywords pretty much anywhere in your marketing, but in particularly, obviously, it helps you figure out what silos or themes, articles supporting keywords you want for your money site, and those keywords then are reflected as you curate all the way through the entire web system. However, you want to be cognizant about the keywords that you're using for your inbound links, and so in certain circumstances, particularly in your DAS stacks, and oftentimes in other places that you're doing promotions and pointing your inbound links, the do follow links back to your website, you want to use a variety of keywords so that you don't get over-optimization penalties. So keywords can help you find a variety of different ways of expressing exactly the same idea, not necessarily the same kind of synonyms that you would find in a thesaurus, but alternate ways that are jargon that's currently being used on competitors' websites. What's that?
Yeah, those are going to correspond to what's actually happening in the world, so it's perfectly natural to use them.
Absolutely, exactly. In fact, in some markets I find words that I wouldn't have been aware of, and it comes up as a really high Larry, meaning that it's very thematically relevant, and I have to go off and look up the word to see what it is because language moves so fast in the internet. It's really astounding, and because keywords is always looking at your competitors, it keeps on top of those things. It reflects, within a matter of hours, it reflects the cultural shift that's going on.
So how often do you check the keywords? I mean, once you've got your foundation, even your whole entire ring, once it's all done, how often do you update?
Oh, well, that depends on the market and how fast it's moving. Some things, like we've talked about dentists 2 or 3 times in the last couple of weeks, the dentistry market is not one of those markets that's prone to move too quickly, and typically dentists know when a new product has come out or a new way of expressing the techniques that are being used. But then there are other markets where, my goodness gracious, it seems as though it changes every couple of weeks. So in the faster moving markets, I would say probably at least every 6 months you want to go back and do some checks on the trends and what's up and coming, because Keywords also does a really great job of keeping you abreast of things that are possibly not too much in use yet, but as you look at, as you compare that to like Google Trends, you can see where the trend is moving forward quickly. Kraken also does that for you, because both of them are based off of pulling keywords from your competitors' websites. And yeah,
Interesting.
so
That's really great. I didn't
yeah,
realize that. Okay.
yeah. So I would say, maybe as often as every 6 months, and that could just be like tweaking out concepts in your blog post, so that you're hitting those new keywords in more recent blog posts, and that obviously gets reflected in your social media. But oftentimes there's stuff like at least once a year you want to do a check to see, even in the slower moving markets, just to see what your competitors are talking about and what they're doing and where things are going, so that you might want to update your website with a new silo or a new section of a silo to stay on top of those trends.
Yeah, yeah. That's I just I'm into the ketogenic diet, and all of a sudden, I mean, people have been doing this diet for years in some form or another, but all of a sudden there's this whole series of events came up, and now there's a huge monster industry that everybody's aware of, and it just happened within 6, 8 months to a year.
Wow, that's awesome. So did a whole new set of jargon come in along with that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's excellent.
Everything. The whole language changed about it because the diet changed a little bit, and that changed the whole conversation.
Oh, that's interesting. Yep,
Hmm.
I see that happen quite frequently. Very cool.
Interesting.
So Kraken, by the same token, I mean, Kraken is designed to be used to build sites. So you're looking at your money site, and ideas from the money site are also the key ideas that are used in your WR2 sites. So predominantly, um, Kraken is used for those two layers, but because the keywords are actually mirrored through everything, um, you're going to find that tool useful for all of it, but keywords more specifically is used to find alternative ways of expressing those ideas. So Kraken's more about building your site. Keywords can help you build your site. It doesn't help you analyze your market. Market analysis is inside of Kraken, but keywords will help you find alternative ways of expressing ideas easier. So me personally, I use both of those tools when I'm building out sites, particularly if it's a good-sized market.
So the new killer keyword tool is actually helping us decide what our silo keywords are and what our categories and what our articles are supposed to be about. So how is that different from what Kraken is doing?
So keywords looks at your concepts a keyword at a time. It doesn't look across the entire market. And Kraken actually helps you follow the money in the market. So one of the cool things that Kraken does, when you drill concepts out in Kraken, it removes everything that's not thematically relevant, whereas keywords gives you the entire picture of what's brought back, several hundred keywords. Kraken focuses on typically around 60 keywords that are really core to that original term that you typed in. And because it focuses on keywords that are highly relevant to your seed term, it can tell you more about your competitors, and it can tell you more about what aspects of your market has the most amount of money in it. So the way that you use Kraken is in a single cluster. A cluster is a collection of drilled themes. You want to drill out, gosh, a minimum of 6 to 8 and typically more like 20 to 30 themes that all revolve around the idea of your website. You can go a bit broader because the broader you go, the more that shows you the ideas that are underneath that particular concept. But then particularly you want to hit all of the different various ideas that your website is going to be about. So then you can look through those broad drills and you can look through those themes on the roll-up screen and you can see which themes have the most amount of money in them. So like you literally can just follow the money and you can say, okay, these ideas are not hugely competitive, they don't have a lot of money. These ideas are fairly competitive, they have a lot of money, and these ideas aren't so competitive, but they have a lot of money. So you can see the low-hanging fruit quite easily. If there is some, there's not always in every market. And you can see where your actual competitors are ranking and where they're not ranking. What have they left? What keywords have they left on the table? Where, like, nobody that I have ever seen in all of my 10 years of doing online marketing research have I ever found anybody who thoroughly dominates a market. So there's always space where you can go in and you can find keywords concepts that your top competitors have ignored. So what that typically means is that your top competitors, those guys that have a lot of money, a huge budget, they focus on certain areas for whatever reason. And there are areas that they didn't focus on, and so you have the opportunity to get in there and get into the conversation and elbow your way into the more competitive areas. And keywords can't show you that.
Okay, so I know it's more intuitive when you're actually in the tools, but can you talk a little bit more about the connection between the two? For example, if I was in keywords, killer keyword tool, and I was doing my profit report, and then I did my deep drill, and maybe those are the keywords that I choose to start with in Kraken. Is that how you work with it, and then kind of go back and forth when you find something interesting in Kraken, then you go back to keywords and maybe do a...
I tend to go the other way around. I do my market analysis in Kraken. It's going to provide me all of the keywords that I need to be able to see, to be able to do all of the drills and discover all of the different aspects of my market. And then once I've determined which ideas I want in Kraken, I'll oftentimes go drill ideas out in keywords, particularly so that I've got additional ways of expressing those ideas for backlinks. So, for example, on each page, I want to be able to find somewhere around 6 different keywords for supporting keywords. And I don't always find that in Kraken, particularly if it's a niche, because Kraken follows the money. And it doesn't show you too many keywords that don't have money. So if you're in a really small, very inexpensive niche, the keywords that it's going to bring you back are limited. Keywords doesn't care. Keywords will bring you back that list of keywords off of your competitors' sites, whether or not they're worth anything. So there might be searches, there might be traffic, but there's nobody actually bidding on those keywords. So Kraken doesn't look at those words so much because there's no bidding going on. So I can find oftentimes other ways that I want to express, or I can find expert verbiage, or I can find just other little choice keywords that I can use in all different kinds of places, from inbound links to statistically improbable phrases that are actually on my content. Just it helps me round out my online marketing strategy. So it also gives me additional keywords that are quite tangential, that are helpful when I create PinVid sites or when I'm creating my RSS sites, because you want a degree of weird and unusual like that. Those are the kinds of ideas that particularly tend to draw traffic to the WR2 sites, to the PinVid sites, and to the RSS sites. And Kraken, because it's looking for cost, it's looking for profit, the weird and unusual keywords typically don't have a lot of money associated with them. So that's where I say keywords can round you out in that general direction. But for the money that the keywords that you're going to want, particularly for your silos and typically for your articles, you can find all of that in Kraken.
Okay, that's very helpful. And that weird and unusual is a really interesting point too, because you're looking for the viral. You're looking for
Exactly.
the stuff that's going to be viral. It's going to be long, you know, long page views and long time on site, and that's what does it.
Exactly. Yeah, if you think about the kind of TV shows that really draw the crowds, um, or
Well,
or the
dog stuff like that.
yeah, exactly.
Why am I always bringing up the dogs?
Uh, hey, they're a passion, right?
And you heard Ella on the last training we did. She wanted to play and participate with us.
Exactly. Just got
All
to
right.
teach her how to name her files mnemonically. So then the next thing we have is Network Empire Builder in DWS. And while you can take the keywords that you're finding in either Keywords or in Kraken, and you can just pop those right into something like Video Silo Builder or Simple Silo Builder, our blog plugins, you can also import those into Network Empire Builder, and particularly for your money site, you can make a much more educated decision about which keywords you want to use for your website in either Network Empire Builder or DWS. And that's simply because those tools give you an idea of what your ROI is going to be. So in Killer Keywords, we've got a new screen that gives you an idea of what your profit is going to be. And from that profit screen, you can look at how many articles you're probably going to need to put on your website, and you can look at how competitive the backlinks are. So you can kind of get an intuitive feel of what your cost is going to be. But Network Empire Builder and DWS, they break that cost down for you to a much finer degree. So you've got a really you've got a much firmer estimate of what your ROI is going to be. So it takes longer. It's a labor of love. It's not like the quick and easy button, but particularly for guys who are doing client sites where it's helpful to go back to the client and say, these are the keywords we're looking at and this is why we're looking at the keywords. You can give that data to your client in a way that's going to make sense to them, because it's not based off of SEO jargon. It's based off of money. It's based off of cost. It's based off of ROIs, and those are the things that CEOs think and live and breathe by.
Okay. So again, just like in the training video we did last, this is about systematic processes. Even though this is software we're talking about, they each kind of layer and stack and work. They can work interrelated.
Absolutely. Yep, they're
Okay.
designed so that they can be standalone, but they were also designed with a holistic purpose in mind. And so the way that I use them, I don't always build my sites out with Network Empire Builder. If I'm going to do an affiliate site, and particularly when the whole affiliate process isn't particularly proven, I'm going to go find keywords that look good in keywords. I'm going to do a quick and dirty analysis. I'm going to grab some ideas. I'm going to throw them into Video Silo Builder, where my site gets built out immediately. I'm going to throw that affiliate banner underneath the videos, and Bob's your uncle, right? I get to test in real time from a site that took me only a couple of hours to put together whether or not, exactly how lucrative is this affiliate market going to be for me. So I can put up, over the course of a week, I can sit down and put up, I don't know, 20, 30 different sites on radically different topics, and then I can let them just percolate, right? I can have like Social Explosion on them and some minor things that are going to get me some traffic, and they're going to get me some rankings on long tails, because I'm really like testing the market. And then I come back 30 days later and I look at what's actually making me money. And the things that have actually produced sales, those are the places that I'm going to go and decide to really invest my time and energy into.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's very helpful. Great. Okay. Before we move off of any builder and DWS, can you tell us the difference between the two?
So Network Empire Builder was created because DWS is a monster. DWS has a lot of advanced features in it, and it was literally overwhelming. Like, it was so many decisions that you have to make to get to the beginning point of your website that we lost people. So we scaled it way down, and we let people go through and make their first site in Network Empire Builder. And once they've got their head wrapped around Network Empire Builder, they were anxious to move into DWS. Like that, then everything else made so much more sense, and they could really see the power of it. So that's why we have the two different versions. DWS is in particularly essential for those guys who are in the MDM courses, who are putting together blueprints for clients, because it gives you extra fields that are pretty much required to really close the client successfully. So.
Okay, great.
All right, and so then the last thing that we've got is Social Explosion. And so Social Explosion comes in two different parts. It's got the plugin that we're going to talk about when we talk about WordPress in the next video, but it's also got an aspect of it which is the RSS dashboard. And the RSS dashboard obviously lets you put in RSS feeds. So that's all contained on the SaaS, and on the software as a service side of it, that's an application that you log into rather than having something installed in your blog. And it deals with all of the RSS stuff. So it's designed for blogs and websites. I suppose technically it could be a WR1 functionality as well for those sites that are not WordPress. So if your site's got an RSS feed, but it's not, some other CMS other than WordPress, then it's appropriate for you to stick your RSS feed from that site into the dashboard. But in particularly, it was designed for your social media platforms. So you've got YouTube that's got an RSS feed that comes out of it, and by taking that RSS feed and throwing it through Social Explosion so that it gets social signals, the page authority on your YouTube channel goes way up very quickly. And what that translates into is that the inbound links in the descriptions from your YouTube videos mean more. They rank you better and faster when those links point to the pages on your money site. So that same principle holds true for all of the other social platforms that have RSS feeds, whether it's Scoopit or Storify, or if you jump through a hoop and get a feed out of your Twitter account, Pinterest, all of those platforms. So that's the thinking behind the RSS dashboard for Social Explosion, and you can use that on every single layer of every single social layer or third-party platform layer of the Ring system. So it doesn't matter what level you're at, it helps get everything indexed, it helps enhance the page authority, and that's just turtles, turtles, turtles all the way down. By throwing Social Explosion on every level, then you're boosting your page authority on all of those levels, so that by the time you get to your money site, it's just an amazing explosion. Yeah.
I know why you named it that way. This is so unique. I mean, among the whole world of social plugins, nobody else does this. Everybody else does it backwards, which we say that a lot when we're talking about Network Empire tools.
Indeed.
All right, brilliant. Okay, the last thing I want to ask you about is putting the first video and this one together, the training and the software. So when you're taking the training courses, if there is a required piece of software, are they necessarily included in the training?
Yes, everything that you need is included, bundled into. I mean, most of those things, it's the CLC. Well, we've got the AT5 too, where we've got some stuff bundled in there. But predominantly it's the CLC, the coaching courses, where you're actually going through whatever it is that you're going through with the instructor for that course. You get access to those tools while you're going through that course. If you want it, like if you decide to take a course out of cycle, in other words, you want to sit through the videos and do it on your own, then you just put in a ticket to the help desk and they'll give you access to the software. If some of it's subscription-based, like Keywords and Kraken, they'll give you access to it in advance, and you can get your keywords put in and you can get your money site made, so you don't have to wait. So yeah, absolutely. I think it would be unfair and kind of a nickel and dime sort of a feel if you paid $1,000 or $2,000 or more for a course, and then, oh yeah, you got to go get this plugin for $30. Like, that's crazy. So we include all that in.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Well, thank you so much, Sue. This was really helpful. So the first video we talked about the actual training. This one, of course, we're covering the software. And then what's the next one we're going to do?
WordPress, all of the WordPress plugins and themes that we have.
Excellent. All right. Well, we will wrap this up and put all the links to the resources we talked about below this video. And hopefully, if you have any questions, like I said in the first one, please ask us, because we're hoping that these videos are going to be helpful for a long time to come. And I'm sure if anything was unclear or any questions arise, that will be helpful to a lot of people. So please submit a ticket about these videos if you have any questions, and we will include them in the resources if it's applicable to everyone.
Excellent.
So thank you.
Hey,
Thanks,
thank you
Sue.
so much, Fran. I appreciate it.